We've got Gronk, one of the all-time great tight ends, 4 Super Bowls for the guy. We've had him on in the past. Looking forward to talking football. The Chiefs trying to go for the three-peat, but more importantly, his mixtape for working out. And we got into the food issues that we have here in the States against Europe. You didn't expect that, did you? You expected it on Rogan, but not with Gronk and Russillo. He's back on the program. We're excited about it. Rob Gronkowski, NFL legend, multiple Super Bowl winner, also with Fox, and joining us through T-Mobile, which he's doing some cool stuff with. We'll ask him about at the end of this. What's up, man? It's good to see you again.
What's up, Ryan? How you doing, man?
I'm good. I'm getting ready, for another season, as you are. And the Chiefs do what is one of the hardest things to do in all sports is repeat. And they're going to try to do this one more time here, or as many more times as they possibly can. When you think back to the Pats days, and when I think about the Super Bowls that you won while you were there, like you win in 16, you can't really say you had some kind of hangover when you lose in the Super Bowl. But what is that challenge like? Like, what is it like when you go, our standard is only one thing?
You know, it's stressful in a way. It's also a really cool situation to be in as well because the standard is set. It's Super Bowl or bust. You can go to the playoffs, you can go to the AFC Championship game. That's a successful year for many other teams, but not necessarily for your team because your standard is the Super Bowl. Your standard is to win Super Bowls. So to repeat as a Super Bowl champion is one of the hardest things to do in sports. And I got to tip my hat to the Kansas City Chiefs for being able to pull it off the last 2 years in repeat. Everyone's vying for you. Everyone's coming after you. They know you're the team to beat. Even the worst team in the league, when they're playing you, they just want to win that game because that's their Super Bowl. So they're giving you everything that they have. They're coming up with trick plays. They're coming up with schemes that you may have never seen before. So everyone's throwing their eggs in the basket whenever they're playing you. So you got to be on your A game week in and week out. And you got to be a smart organization as well in order to find different ways to win games year in and year out if you want to repeat as champions. And that's what the Kansas City Chiefs have done.
Is it up to the coaches or is it more on the players that have already had that success to keep everybody in the same direction?
It's up to the whole organization as a whole. You got to be on the same page with everyone, from the ownership to the coaches to the players. If you just have the coaches on the page of wanting to repeat and wanting to be champions and the players aren't really on the same page, it's never going to work. In order to win championships in the league, since every team is so good, every team has talent, every team has good coaching, everyone has to be on the same wavelength. And I feel like that's where the Kansas City Chiefs are. And I feel like they have a good chance of winning again because they got that core set of players in that organization and with the coaching staff as well. And when we were in New England, we had that as well with Julian, myself, with Devin McCourty on the defensive side of the ball, with Hightower as well. So guys that were always there, that were setting the standard. They knew, what to expect year in and year out. And that's kind of how you repeat is everyone's gelling together year in and year out. If one aspect of your organization is all in, the other aspect's out, it's never going to work. You're never going to become champion. So everyone has to be all in.
Were you a speech guy?
I was never really a speech guy. Coach Belichick was more of the speech guy, but it wasn't like a hype up type of speech. He would just kind of give you the direction on how to win the game. It wasn't like he would amp you up. He would some ways, but Tom, I would say, was more of the speech guy. Julian, at times, great speech guy. He would get under your skin in a way, which was always great. Whenever he did that, definitely got you tingling. But there's a couple other guys as well. Matthew Slater, another speech guy, terrific teammate as well. So I just named all those guys as well, and those guys were all core players with the New England Patriots, and that's why we were successful because we had a great core of players that were there year in and year out, and same with the coaching staff.
I'm going to do something different here because as I was prepping my big Rob Gronkowski interview, I was watching different interviews, and I went up to Jules' place and did his pod, Games of Names, and I watched you with him, and I learned something about you. I had no idea that LMFAO was your favorite band in the world at one point, and it makes a lot of sense now that I think about it.
Yeah, they were definitely my favorite band at one point. It was about my first year in the league, second year in the league when LMFAO was at their stardom. They were one of the biggest bands out there, and Red Foo was my favorite performer. I mean, their brand just fit me perfectly. Party rocking, shuffling, jumping up and down, just doing all the crazy things that you can just totally imagine being at a party. So they just, fit my brand perfectly at the time. I still love the guys. I don't think they're really a band anymore, but let me tell you, they were the best. And they're kind of the reason why I lost my mind after the Super Bowl when we lost in Indianapolis. They were performing at our after party, and I just couldn't believe it. It was the first time I got to meet them, and I just went bazooka, even though we lost, because it was LMFAO, my favorite band.
So as I'm watching the clips, like, this all credit to Jules. Like, I can't do that interview with you because I wasn't your teammate for 10 years. So I was like, I wouldn't have been able to get that out of him. So I'm giving them the credit. But you just said something. Who replaced LMFAO? At what
Uh,
like
I mean, I still love LMFAO, Red Foo. I mean, I did a couple events with him. He performed at a couple of my parties before. So great dude, great music, and definitely great to have for throwbacks. But I would definitely say that Flow Rider, I wouldn't say replace LMFAO, but Flow Rider has so many great hits out there. I love Flow Rider. It's the music that gets you amped up, that you want to dance to, and that's why I love Flow Rider as well. He has just mega amounts of number one hits. He's always on top of the charts, always creating new music. So Flow Rider is definitely my favorite guy out there right now in the music industry.
what's on your gym playlist?
I switch it up a lot. I'm starting to really like country music. There's no doubt about that. I feel like the whole world's starting to like country music, but I don't like that country music. I like the good country, the pop country, the top five songs that each artist have. When you start getting deep in the track, it starts getting too slow. They start talking about their cat, their dog, they're drinking too much. I love that music it's a little slow, but it's also popping. It gets you off the chair and gets you excited.
Yeah, I can't imagine you've ever wanted to throw on some slow James Taylor. Like, you don't need that in your life. You don't need to be mellowed out, right?
I like being mellowed out sometimes, like a drive or just chilling at night, but not like super mellow. I like the upbeat, still type of mellow music, and that's what country's providing these days. I really like it.
So can you, if it's now, I don't know what your workout routine is like. You still look huge, but if you,
Actually,
oh
I'll tell
wait,
you this.
you look a
I
little
just
slimmer.
I look a little slimmer. Okay, here you go. I just weighed myself last night. I went on a Euro trip. I was there for 16 days. I don't believe in Whole Foods anymore because the foods over there are all Whole Foods. They're all organic. You don't even have to say organic. It's just food over there. It's medicine over there. So I wanted to test that theory that everyone goes over there and they lose weight and they eat all the food possible. Well, let me tell you, I ate everything. I was eating like 10 slices of bread a day, breakfast, lunch, dinner, like 30-ounce steaks, you name it. And I came back and I weighed myself last night and I was 274 pounds. The heaviest I have ever been in my life was last night. So you just said I'm looking slim right now. So that's a compliment, man. So I'm the heaviest I ever been at 274. So the reason I probably feel good still is because I was eating the food in Europe. And I'm telling you, I didn't get no stomach aches. I was eating probably 600 calories of ice cream every night, of gelato. It was just so good, man. And 274, heaviest I ever been, man. Feel good.
You don't look it. Maybe it's the angle, but then when you flexed, I always expect like the arms of Thor. So I don't know if it's a definition thing. Maybe that's what threw me off. All right, so let's talk European eating. I just got back from Spain. I was in a couple different spots. I went to the bullfights, which you would probably enjoy, but it's not for everybody. It's not for everybody. So I'll just put it that way. So you don't have to comment on that one. I lose weight every time I go to Europe because I always feel like the portions are so small. They love just kind of sitting and taking their time, maybe sipping a beer for an hour. Obviously, there's 20 cigarettes in there, but then there's these smaller things. And then I went to one restaurant one night where I was like, this place is probably pretty average. So I've just figured if I order three things and one's terrible, I'll still have the other two meals. And the woman didn't speak any English. She brought over another guy who spoke some English, and he said, "Excuse me, my partner said that you ordered three entrees. You can't do that here." And I was like, well, you actually aren't letting me order the third plate? And they were like, no, it's too much food. You can't do it. And I was like, all right, fine. But maybe you have me on the gelato thing. So you think it was gelato every night?
It was gelato, and we were ordering insane amounts of portions. I mean, we had a group about 10 of us,
Where
so
were you?
they went. I was actually in Poland first. I went with Monster. We went on a little military tour base trip, and I went to three different military bases and visited our troops in Poland, which was really cool. And my favorite part about that trip was obviously visiting the troops. That was really cool. But from going from base to base, we were stopping at gas stations, and I was eating the gas station burgers. And let me tell you, they were the best burgers I've ever had in my life. And what I love about it so much is they don't use ketchup there. They use mayo, and it's a total different type of mayo in Poland. And it's just like undescribable how good it is. It's like fluffy. It kind of looks like whipped cream a little bit, and it just tastes so good. I'm just dipping my burger into the mayonnaise and just going all out. And I would order like probably two burgers at a time, and the pasta. We would order pasta at night for every meal. We would do those cheese platters every single time for appetizers. But then I would get the biggest steak possible, 30 ounce to 40 ounces. I would just mow down the whole thing. I didn't waste any food at all.
Really proud of you. I'm proud of you finding a way to get all those calories in, because whenever I'm there, I always lose weight. But I'm with you on when you walk around and you see people eating stuff that you would go, okay, well, they're having pizza with every meal. There's always French fries with everything. Like, why are there not more obese people? And I think it gets back to your Whole Foods point. Like, something's going on here. This is not some weird deal. I've traveled enough where I go, where are the overweight people? And it
Yeah,
just isn't there.
Yeah, because there's no chemicals or any GMOs or any of that bullshit in the Europe food. So you can eat it and your body knows what's going on and it can process it. You know, when you got the chemicals and whatever else they put in our food here in the US, I mean, it sits in your body then and it just like sticks and it doesn't process the right way, I feel like. So that's kind of my theory, but I feel like everyone's on the same page that goes to Europe and eats.
That's the thing. As soon as I came back after a few trips, I'm like, what is going on? Maybe this isn't just some conspiracy blog. Okay, back to football on this one. Are you more surprised that you're in the media or that Belichick's about to be in the media?
Uh, Definitely more surprised that Coach Belichick is going to be in the media. But what I'm really surprised about is that how many different networks that he's going to be working for this year in the media. I think he's on like five different shows. I mean, Coach Belichick, man, loves the game of football, no doubt, and he has knowledge to spread around on all five of the shows. That's for sure. So I'm definitely surprised how many shows he's just doing. I'm not surprised that he's going to be in the media, but just kind of worried that he's not going to have any downtime.
Yeah, look, I think a life in football and having a schedule and then just abruptly now it's not going to be the same thing. I'm not surprised. And in some of the stuff that I've seen from him, when he wants to share that side of the personality, when he wants to talk about this game that he loves, I think people are really going to like it. Did he call you for any tips?
No, he didn't call me for any tips. And if you watch the roast, you definitely know he's not going to call me for any tips because remember his joke about me? He got me pretty good. He goes, Rob, I got that famous slogan, do your job. And let me tell you, I've been watching you on Fox Sundays for the last 2 years, and please stop doing your job. So I can tell you this, I don't think he's going to call me for any tips. He's telling me not to do my job anymore. So huge shout out to Coach Belichick. I think he's going to be terrific in the media. He has so much knowledge. I mean, he's the one who took my game to a whole new level, just my mental game, of on the football aspect side. and just how much I've learned through him, just how many little technique things I've learned, just how many different rules I've learned through just being with Coach Belichick as well. I mean, he knows the playbooks, he knows the rule books, he knows the defensive side of the ball, the offensive side of the ball, the special teams aspect of the game like no one else. So he's going to be able to share his knowledge, and he's going to do unbelievable.
You really think you'd be that different of a player if you hadn't been with Bill?
In a way, definitely. You know, I felt like going to New England was actually the best thing for me. I would not have changed, you know, my first 9 years in the NFL. You know, being here in New England, you know, I kind of was a freelancer a little bit. I like that, you know, that structure of a program. I like that discipline that Coach Belichick has. It's more old school, and I feel like it was a perfect fit for me. And I feel like that's what I needed early in my career.
I was thinking about this because it kind of plays back into the Chiefs thing a little bit. Like that's probably the worst statistical season we're going to see from Mahomes for a really long time. All right, it still didn't matter. They're going to try to take Kelsey away as the first option as much as they can. They weren't afraid of the receivers. That should change with some personnel changes. You would hope if you're a Chiefs fan. But when teams are going up against you, do you have a game where maybe it was in the preparation or maybe it was playing out in the field the first couple of series, you go, this entire game plan of this defense is to stop me, and I have to figure out a way to impact this game? Is there a memory or a story from a specific matchup where it stood out to you how much you were the focus of the defense?
Yeah, that has happened, you know, a few times in my career where I've gotten double teamed in the pass game. You know, the focus for the defense was just to stop me solely. But, you know, being with Tom Brady and having Coach Belichick as your coach, those are the two guys you want on your side when that's happening, because Tom knows how to distribute the ball. He knows how to get the ball in other players' hands. Coach Belichick knows how to switch up the scheme and use that to our advantage because I'm getting double teamed in the passing game. And I would get frustrated at times when that happens, especially if we're not producing. It's very frustrating. But if we're producing, it's totally fine. If other guys are getting open, you feel good about yourself. And also getting double teamed, it's a form of respect that they're giving you as well. So if you're just successful throughout the game still, we're still winning, we're still driving, we're still putting up points, then it's cool. But it gets really frustrating if nothing's, you know, triggering, if nothing else is going on, if we're not moving the ball. Because you really can't do anything about it because you're getting, you know, jammed off the line, and then there's a linebacker hitting you, then you got the safety covering you, and it's hard to get open in that situation. But when your teammates are helping you out, and that's why the game of football is all about team, because if you take away one guy, you got to have other good players around you. And in those situations, I had great guys around me, especially with Tom being able to distribute the ball to the guy that, you know, gives us the best chance to get a first down or a touchdown.
Were you, because you like blocking so much and you were so just, you know, you were awesome, man. just you just took guys out because of your blocking ability. Did it allow you, if you weren't getting targets, to still have fun?
Yes, definitely. I love blocking. I just never really like going out for a pass every single play. I mean, it would be tough. I was 260 pounds. I mean, I wasn't in the shape that wide receivers are in, but I also love the block as well. And it would give me a little break in the passing game, and a good block would give you the juice, you know, for the next play to go out and run down the field and get open and have a catch. So, you know, it was beneficial on both sides. It was beneficial both aspects of the game to be able to block and go out and you know, receive a pass or a touchdown. A big block, though, I think I'm talking like a big block, like a short yardage 3rd and 2, and they run right behind you. I think that was more beneficial, you know, more of an adrenaline rush than going out and catching a pass or a touchdown sometimes. I mean, it's just a great feeling to just know that a running back that you just went man to man with another NFL player that's heads up on you. You move him out of the way, and the running back runs right behind you. That's always a good feeling, and it's a form of respect as well to your teammates. And to that point as well, that's when you can use getting double teamed and the defense trying to solely take you away from the game, you can use that to your advantage by, running the opposite way because you got two guys above me, vicing me sometimes. So then you run the opposite way and they're not going to have as many guys over there, in the run game. So that's when you got to master the game plan on how the defense is playing you.
Okay, so Mayo takes over, and I don't want to say it's impossible, but again, we understand what he is following here. He is following the greatest run in the history of the sport in the job that Belichick did. You know him, obviously. So what do you think this is going to be like for him?
Well, Gerard Mayo as a player, he was a captain for us. He was not kind of. I played with him kind of like, what was it, like 10 years ago? So all the way, like, it was about 10 years ago. He retired, I think, in like 2016, 2015. So I had about my first 4 or 5 years with him. And for what I remember, he was one of the smartest players on the defense side of the ball. He was a captain of the defense. He aligned all the other players around him on the defense side of the ball where they needed to be. He got everyone in position. He was the play caller on the defensive side of the ball. And if there was a guy that I would say would be a coach in the NFL after they were done playing, it was Gerard Mayo. And to be with New England, I would have never have guessed that he was going to be the next head coach of New England while we were playing. But you just knew that he had the skill set to be a coach after he was done playing as a player in the NFL. And he's in a pretty tough situation. It's not like he took over an organization where, it was steady, where you had a quarterback that was ready to go. You have weapons that are ready to produce. He's kind of in a situation where he would be on a tendency to fail more than, having success in the first year. But I feel like he's in the right direction. I don't think, they're going to produce too well this year, but in the future, I think they will produce in about 2 years, 3 years. And what I really, really like what they're doing right now is they're retaining the core guys in the organization. They signed about 4 or 5 guys that have been there to deals and extended them. And that's why I see them being good in about 2 or 3 years when the younger guys get up to par of where they want them to be.
Yeah, new quarterback. So I don't even know. Do you have thoughts on Drake May this soon?
I have really no thoughts on him yet. I really haven't seen him play in college. I just seen a couple interviews about him, coming out of college
Right.
at the draft. I really like his family, kind of reminds me of my family. I really like him as a person. I just don't know anything about him as a player. Haven't seen any film yet, throughout training camp. Like I said, I was in Europe, so I haven't really seen any football. So I just got back yesterday, so I'm going to be on top of my game now. So no thoughts yet.
No, and I didn't mean to put you on the spot. I kind of assumed that, so it wasn't like I was expecting this full breakdown of like, oh, I like his, outside the numbers, look out. But I did think about the clan, the May clan, and the Gronkowski clan.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just tough to put it up anybody against you. They just don't have the numbers. Maybe if he and Luke were playing you and Chris 2-on-2, maybe. But you're going to overwhelm. Your clan is too big.
Yeah. Are you talking 2-on-2 basketball?
Yeah, 2-on-2. I was just trying to think. Well, because
Yeah.
his brother played. I think the last professional stop was Japan, but was a stud at UNC.
I would say that they would probably win 2-on-2 in basketball. My family and I, we don't really have the basketball skills. I was good in high school, but I was more of just a big man. I was just bigger than everyone else. But I would say they would definitely win 2-on-2 in basketball.
I got my ass kicked yesterday in 2-on-2 by Matt Leinert's son and his buddy. That was humiliating.
Yeah,
But
I
his
just met Matt Leinert's son. He's going to be a senior this year. He's got a couple offers. Is that who you're talking about?
Yeah, I mean
Yeah.
he's an awesome kid, Cole, and he also is like 6'5", shoots from NBA threes, doesn't miss,
Mm-hmm.
can dunk. And so, it was my birthday this week, and his dad was like, "Do you want to play my son again?" And I was like, "Well, I don't want to, but I definitely am going to."
Yeah, you're
And
definitely not winning that. Sorry,
yeah,
bud.
well, I don't like my approach. I think I learned some things from that matchup. Speaking of high school sports, though, Gronk, I know you are always involved. And we have the Friday night 5G lights program where T-Mobile has invested billions to bring 5G network to small towns, including programs to connect kids across America and upgrade parks, playgrounds, libraries, and local businesses. And now we're giving your hometown the 5G advantage and upgrading football fields across America. And Rob Gronkowski is a big part of this. So tell us more about what's going on with T-Mobile, because this is actually a really cool program as you read through it.
Yes, it's really, really cool. And what I really like about it is that it's getting kids, that are coming up, that are going to be the next generation, an opportunity to succeed. And T-Mobile and we teamed up for a lucrative campaign, which just dropped the other week. And it's a nationwide competition inviting high schools to share their stories for a chance to win a multi-million-dollar football stadium makeover. And prizes include a $100,000 cash grant, a new teched out scoreboard, the ultimate tailgate party for the whole community, a 5G powered drone show, and my favorite, we have teamed up with T-Mobile as well. Gronk Fitness, my family business. We will be upgrading the weight room so the kids can stay strong, so they can stay fit and go out there and perform out on the football field. So this is just an opportunity. The program is called Friday Night 5G Lights. And for these high schools to enter, just go to www.fridaynightfivglights.com for your chance, for your high school, for a chance to win this unbelievable campaign.
And since you're up to 270 plus, when you make it back out to LA, I'm giving you a formal invite to my home gym called the Mass Station. And we'll get the playlist going. All right. We'll get you back down to 265.
Well, no, I need to put more mass on. I never hit 280 in my life. I kind of just want to do it just to test it out, just to see how I feel, because I don't feel bad at all. But I think I should go to Europe and put it on and get the 280 with the European food, because I feel good at 274 right now. I was just shooting some hoops before we got on, and I was swishing all my threes still. So I'm cool with it. Get the 280, maybe. My biceps could be like Dwayne Johnson's, where his biceps like all the way out to here. So we'll see. We'll see if I do that.
You're just a template of growth. There's all sorts of options you have right now, buddy. It's great seeing you. Thanks again, man. And we look forward to checking you out on Fox this fall.
Hey, Ryan, thanks for having me, man. We go way back to 2010 when we first met. You remember that?
I do, because I was big on it. I was early on the Gronk train, and I was so pumped to get you guys in studio. And then I might have changed my number, because I know we stopped. Not that we were texting all the time. You still have my favorite text response of all time, and you don't even know this. Do you know? Did we talk about this ever?
No, I don't think we ever talked about it.
We can share it. It's totally fine. So
all right.
you were hurt, and you were up in Foxborough, and I think at that point you knew I was friends with a couple guys from back in the day, and I'd hung out with you a couple times. And so we were having an ESPN like Christmas party, and we were doing it at my place. And I was like, look, if you have nothing to do, it's less than an hour and a half away. Just shoot down here. You'll know some of the people are going to be at it. It's going to be a safe space, whatever. And you were like, actually, yeah, maybe I will. I don't know. And maybe you had no intention of ever doing it, but you were really nice about it. And then you would ask me like, hey, what's up? And I was like, I'm just bored. And it took you a full day to respond. And the response was, I hate being bored. And it was my favorite response. It was a day later. And it was like the truest thing Rob Gronkowski could ever say about himself. I hate it.
That is the truest thing. I used to hate being bored. And let me tell you now,
you love
program
it, right?
has switched.
Yeah.
I love being bored at times now. Like, it's one of my favorite things to just sit back, lay on the couch, turn the TV on, watch some TV shows, be bored a little bit. Kind of brings my juice back to me. That's what happens when you get older, I guess. You get a little bit more boring. But I'm still fun, all right? But I do like being bored sometimes. It just feels good. It refreshes you. It brings you back to life after it's done.
There you go. That nap, those power naps, put the mask back on.
Exactly.
Thanks, buddy. We'll talk soon.
Hey, Ryan, thanks for having me, buddy.
You want details? Fine. I drive a Ferrari, 355 Cabriolet. What's up? I have a ridiculous house in the South Fork. I have every toy you can possibly imagine. And best of all, kids, I am liquid. So, now you know what's possible. Let me tell you what's required.
The email address is lifeadvicerr@gmail.com. Let's get to it. A guy has a working theory with a title that has to do with athletes, so it's called the KD Kyrie generation. So something a little different here. Dear gents, I'm 27 and wanted to come to the esteemed triumvirate?
I've heard that. I don't know what it is.
No,
Sort of
it
like
is.
branding
It
to
is.
me.
Yeah, it threw me off for a second. Obviously, I know what the word is, but it just I choked.
Tough one,
Yep. So my bad. Apologies to the.
I wouldn't
people
mind
out there.
learning a new word if you guys want to just kick me some knowledge real quick.
I'm still
Yeah.
unsure of what the word is.
Is it like a
Is it
group? Is it
triumvirate?
like a cabal? What does it
Well,
mean?
the root of it would mean what? Think of
Try.
the tricep, 3 heads. So that's 3 people.
Got that part.
Right. So it means the 3 people on a panel, or
All right. Good by me.
in a fraternity that will take him to the tribunal. 3 people. So
Got it.
yeah,
But it's triumvirate, right? Triumvirate. What you're saying?
yeah. I
That's
don't
the
think
word?
it's rate. Triumvirate. Yeah,
Triumvirate.
I think-
So the definition is a group of 3 men holding power, which is, I guess,
Well, it
dates
sounds
back
like
to
a tribunal.
Hell yeah, dude.
Yeah, dates back to Julius Caesar, Pompey. This is just Google. I don't know. Sounds cool though.
Yep. Sounds good. Okay. We that's not like the most out there word, so I should have just been able to nail it on first glance. So I sound like a fucking idiot. And there you go. Okay. 6 foot 190, but hopefully down to 188 by the time you read this. No major gym stats, but was a swimmer at TCU, was awarded male breakthrough athlete of the year my senior year over some guy named Desmond Bain. Not sure what he broke through, but I'm sure it's comparable to just sitting or just trying to lose a few LBs. Anyway, I'm writing this because I've gone through all the class mid-20s moving and changing jobs because I think the grass is greener, not always taking myself seriously, bad breakup, and chasing after the girl. Shout out to Ryan for making me feel better about that by mentioning he did the same. Struggles and lessons these past few years, and want to get your take on the right next step to take. Oh, that's a lot of responsibility. I'm fortunate, despite a lot of missteps, to be doing really well in my career, work in VC, make over $200K a year, get to travel the world for my job, but I've struggled to be content and happy. Quick pause. I have a theory for myself and so many others in my generation that we fall into the same trap Kyrie and KD have. We've constantly dissatisfied and developed a habit of always searching for the next thing when shit gets hard and prioritizing some ethereal perfect fit over just shutting up and making the most of where we're at. I think the problem is if you're going with the KD Kyrie angle, it's like, are you as good as those guys are at what
anything?
they do? Yeah. Right. I think I like it. I'm not saying it doesn't work. I would say the disconnect is that you can get away with way more stuff when you're one of the most special people in the world at what you do, or maybe you should be a little bit more driven. But the difference is too, like when you have 4 years left on your contract, and you want everybody fired where you work, look, whatever. Okay.
Has anyone ever called anything you did amazing? Has anyone ever said, wow, that's amazing? So it's a good benchmark to wonder if you've hit.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like our guy's doing really well. Is he doing KD well? That's pretty well. Okay, I'm debating moving to Chicago. He adds Illinois. Thank you for the clarification.
Yeah.
Which I'm unsure if I'll enjoy. Unsure if I'll enjoy because I'm not a huge urban cold weather environment guy.
A lot of that.
You're not going to like.
Tough start.
Yep. He wants to do it to truly lean in on work. I've always been remote, but my company has an office there and chase after my potential or moving back to a smaller city I've enjoyed and loved, but less career options and ambitious people, say at Charleston, South Carolina, or San Diego. The weight of this decision feels larger as I want to live in whichever spot I choose for a few years. So it seems like an inflection point of pulling a KD Kyrie and focusing on happiness and lifestyle and being content, sacrificing some of the unknown of what I can achieve in my life and career. Or is it time to go old school and be like KG and just man up and go fucking chase your goals? Any advice is appreciated, even if it's just general advice on thinking about this phase of life. Just simple, relaxed, pal. Huge fan of the pod. All right. Well, I think we've covered a lot of this stuff in the past and kind of where you're at generationally. I don't know that it's a younger person thing. I think sometimes it can get labeled that. But I always feel like wanting more is whether you're a loser, which I was, the only thing I could do for myself that was positive is that I actually was aware of it and wanted more. I did not want my current path to continue. And even though it was not the best time, I can look back on that and just be thankful that I cared enough that things were bad. All right. And that's not even the case to you. You're 27. You're doing way better than I was at 27. So I think this becomes like just a very predictable age thing. You're feeling like every move now is the biggest move, and it's not true. But it's, again, the bias of the present of, since it's happening right now, well, this has to be the most important thing. But if I were to tell you, like, yeah, maybe you move to Chicago and you feel like you're around people, it sounds like you're probably competitive. So that's why you're worried about maybe a smaller city. So if you're going to a top city in your industry, what you would be doing is weather going to be the deciding factor? I mean, for some people, weather's a huge, huge factor. For me, for the longest time, it wasn't. And then it was like, hey, maybe I can try something with better weather. And will I like it more? And yes, I do. So if weather's a driving factor, I can't tell you that you're wrong. But when you're younger and you're trying to figure out where you're going to fit in, I personally always went with, if I do this, will this set me up better 5 years from now, 10 years from now, even if it doesn't feel great, even if I don't like where I live, even if socially I'm sacrificing some things, will this will I put myself in a position where I can feel long-term I'm doing a little bit better? I would tell you the work from home thing. It's personally a turnoff for me. And people give me shit when I brought this up last year, saying the irony that Ryan works from home, right? Well, guess what? I watch games and fucking podcast. So I don't have to go anywhere. I don't work for this big company where I'm reporting to all of these people or people are reporting to me. So I think the value of FaceTime has been lost, because when you make a human connection with the people making the decisions about the future of your career, and look, if you're my age and doing what you're doing, then fine. But there's a lot of times looking back where there was a human connection where when they're talking about your future in the room and there's something there that's relatable, as opposed to somebody logging in for a few hours every fucking day from a place that they prefer to live, it's just a massive advantage. And I will argue with anyone about that. And I know there's always exceptions, but there's something to be said of whether it's like making sure you show up on some work trip, having a couple beers at the hotel lobby with the guy that you're reporting to, showing that you're invested in getting to know the people. It's tougher. We're very predictable this way with human nature. It becomes tougher for them once there is even a mild human connection. It's tougher for the person to be dismissive of you. And if you make yourself easy to be dismissed, I think you're at a disadvantage. So I'm a big, we've covered kind of a lot of this stuff before. You should feel good that you're thinking about these things, but you really have to ask yourself, like, what's your main priority? And my buddies that prioritize lifestyle and everything else, some things really worked out for them. Some didn't. I don't know that it meant either formula was the perfect one for some of those people. Some of the people that just went head first right into their career immediately have reaped massive rewards because of it. And other guys are completely burnt out and wondering what happened to their lives, right? So there's no perfect plan for anybody here. But I'm personally like, how bad do you want it? You're in a great field. You're making really good money at 27 years old. I don't think this is about being a 27-year-old in 2024. I think it's more, I think guys in the 90s at 27 years old were like, is this really it? And it's like, okay, well, if you're not satisfied, then it's up to you to find a way to satisfy yourself, at least professionally. And I'm a big fan of being around, like, even though I liked the job at ESPN, I knew being in West Hartford, I was not going to meet people in industries and different businesses and open up different opportunities the way it would happen once I got to LA. And I actually completely underestimated how different it would be being around certain people in competitive markets where it's like everybody out here where I live now is trying to kill it. And you benefit from that if you care about that stuff.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with like the default mode being like grind mode in your 20s. Like if you don't know what you want to do, maybe just err on the side of caution where like, what would your dad say to do? Because our parents, or at least my dad, is always just like, he's like a straight beeline to the obvious thing, even if it doesn't make a ton of sense, or like, just say that you need this and say that you have to do this and like stuff that he wouldn't actually do, but like just saying like he knows what the right end goal is. So like if I told this to my dad, he was like, well, if you think it'll work out better for you, then just go to Chicago for 3 years. So if you don't know what you want to do, I don't see anything wrong with erring on the side of like, yeah, doing the right thing. Like the math works out best for moving to Chicago for a couple years. Like I'm not a big city guy. I've learned that, but I'm also a fence sitter, so I'm still in Los Angeles. But I
Yeah,
don't
but you're
think,
also younger. You're also young. I
Sure.
mean, part of the reward, like, look, for somebody who's in their 20s that gets to work and live where they want, congrats to you for pulling it off. But there's a reason why after graduation, all the Northeast kids go to New York City or they go to Boston. The Midwest
Right.
people go to Chicago. Then the other Midwest people go to Denver. And then all the SEC people go to Atlanta. And, you don't have to write an email saying,
where
actually,
you
I
went
went to
that wasn't
Jackson,
that.
Mississippi. It was like, okay, we fucking got it. Like, it's not, doesn't mean zero movement towards them. But maybe things are changing. Maybe things are changing. I know some people are still going to be pissed off about the remote thing. Maybe we'll rerun an email because they're just going to come at me every
Big Great
single
Friday
time going
feedback.
like, all right, fine, right? Like, yeah, you're doing the exact same thing I am. Sorry for being a hypocrite. And then people could say like, oh, you sound like a dick. It's like, what would possibly make you? I'm just telling you that it's different for me. It's totally different for me. If I were in my 20s and I were doing this, I'd be going to the office. And the reward of putting 20 plus years into your professional career and doing okay is that you can kind of start to call your shots a little bit more. And I meet way too many guys, whether it's younger people I meet or guys my age that work in certain industries that are like, dude, it's a free for all right now. Like people think the COVID thing's like still permanent, meaning, yeah, this is just what it is now. I need to balance my lifestyle. It's like, no, you don't. You want to stay in your sweatpants and check emails for 2 hours.
I feel like I have a little bit of firsthand experiences. Like in my 20s, like so when I started at the Ringer, I think I was in my early to mid 30s, and I was married and wanted to have kids soon, and my wife has a career that is not the easiest thing to just pick up and move, I guess. And so when we had this conversation about me joining, it was like, yeah, I kind of can't go out there, and that's a decision that I made out to LA. Being in LA,
we're gonna get killed.
Probably
now we get 3 guys sitting around at home. But okay,
no, but
that's not really what the email is. So anybody that's upset about that, put it all on me because I'm the one that's now done this rant twice.
But there is a point to this. In my 20s, if Bill had called me up and was like, "Hey, do you want to work at the Ringer?" I would be living in LA right now. So
Right.
I just think it just depends on what your life situation is. And you're 27, and there are worse places to move than Chicago. I've been there a few times. One of my best friends lives there. It's a cool city, especially in the summer. The winters might be not awesome, but I think that's why a lot of people kind of get out of there in the winter and have different. Some people live in Charleston. Some people live in Texas for the winters. They only claim dual whatever. They have two houses where they can maybe do some tax stuff. But I think you're 27. What's the worst that could happen? If you want to advance your career, like then all right, you're in Chicago for a couple of years. Like dudes have had it worse. Like that's not that bad of a situation, and you got a good job. Unless there's something crazy holding you back to not do it, I think a 27-year-old. I think it's something you got to do.
If you don't have anything coming down the pike, like you don't have a big cash infusion that that's coming in your way from inheritance or whatever, like just go where the money is and like put what you can into your 401k until you figure out what you're doing, and then maybe you'll actually have set yourself up with while you're just kind of wandering through life, kind of knowing what you want to do.
I went really long on that, so I don't know that there's much to add. But if you're writing us and admitting that that it's not going to be the same, like as many prospects for you at a smaller city in your field, like I think unless you're just the fucking man and you're younger, you probably in your world need to be with the big boys for a little while. All right. Like I had a buddy who worked for a hedge fund in New York City, and then he went out to Colorado and worked for a hedge fund. And he was like, he had done okay, so it wasn't going to like ruin things for him. But he was like, the way the guys from New York talk to us, they act like we don't have fucking internet sometimes. Like, oh, let's call up
you're doing that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Let's call up the Colorado morons again and see if they haven't figured out the mortgage crisis yet. Like, okay. Like, my friends, like, they realize we have fucking TV, right? But, whatever. Okay. All right. Another email here. Only single roommate with 4 other guys. Sup? 5'10", 185, player comp, Josh Okogie. Right. Unique. I'll keep it quick. This fall, I'm moving in with 4 of my buddies from college. We've all just graduated and live in a big city. One of the ones I named. All 4 of these guys are in serious relationships and have been since college. And surprise, I'm not. Okay. So I get along with all the girlfriends well, but I wanted to hear if you had any tips to make the most of the situation. I know you was talking about recruiting female friends as assets, so wanted to get y'all's perspective on how to make the most of it.
Just the
to
phrasing
balance.
of that is incredible.
Right. Yeah, that makes it sound worse. Than what
we got a couple
we've
5
said,
stars coming in here.
Yeah.
Women aren't things.
I met her for a coffee in Munich. I think I'm going to be able to flip her. All right. Perspective on how to make the most of it to balance. 1, staying close to my friends. 2, staying on the girlfriend's good side so they can put in good words with their friends, in that order. Any advice is appreciated. I'll admit, I think the email concerns me a little bit. But let's start with this. You already know them. So you're not starting from like a zero deficit here, right? You already have equity built up with them. I guess zero deficit as a term doesn't really make any sense, but you already have some background. There's some history. So if you still get along with all 4 of them going into this living situation, then that's great. That's already a really good thing. I would guess, though, one of them is going to go south.
Yes.
Because, right? So
exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah. Like
or
someone's
the other
going to be there.
This is not a stable environment. One of these dudes is going to be convinced to move and go start his life with one of these long-term relationships. This is not a stable house by any means. It's the quiet before the storm. But either, like you said, like someone's going to break up and that's fine, whatever. You guys can commiserate and be single. But someone's going to get poached, right? Like, we got to go start our own shit. This is cool, but I'm tired of,
Well, they haven't even moved in yet. So I'd say let's give it a year.
Sure. I'm just saying the other bedrooms are going to be opening up once. So maybe you should just keep your eyes out for, anyone else who might need to move in there. Because
I just wondered, does he care about meeting someone? Because if you've already known them since college, how come they haven't introduced you to anybody already? And then if the other part is like you still want to stay in their good graces, well, that's not really going to be up to you. Like, they're going to fuck up before you do. One of them is going to be there way too much. Okay. And then maybe like 2 of the other guys are going to be gone all the time, which actually should be a good thing. Because we get some emails being like, my buddy's at his girlfriend's house all the time and it gets really lonely. Like, we had one of those. You're like, dude, welcome to life. Like, this is not friendship is not a contract for dudes where it's like, you said we were going to hang out until we were 30. We
had 50 days planned this year.
Yeah. You canceled the last 3
You're
Thursdays.
not getting your bonus if you don't show up for this last week here.
I actually think you're going to get just a better spot. You are in a better spot than maybe you realize. So just keep doing you, man. If you get along with all 4 of them, you stay the same while everything changes around you, because that is going to be your challenge, because it's going to happen.
Yeah. And I find a lot of times, like, a friend, like if I bring like my wife around a friend, and especially when she was my girlfriend, like, the friend is the one who usually gets treated nicer than me for some reason. I mean, it's not like, oh, she likes my friend better than me, but it's just like a thing where like, oh yeah, we know this guy. So like we'll say the things that we'll joke about the things that he does that are kind of annoying or something. So you'll probably get a lot of that. Like, you'll probably get treated better than the dudes in this situation. So it's probably going to be good. I would just say one of these dudes is going to end up moving out if he's continuing on with these relationships. I don't remember how old you said you are, but I would start.
It's right after college. It's right after college. See, I think you're pushing it. It's the South, though, so
All right, well, that's fair.
They do get it, but I don't think somebody's moving in
Jackson,
and then somebody may not care. Yeah, Jackson actually huge VC world.
Well, Rachel what about this? Rachel guy comes home at 10:00. He's like, he looks like he's been through the ringer, and he's like, Rachel said that if we're not going to continue, she doesn't know if we can continue if we can't start taking steps here. So
okay, but they've just moved in, so that would be a little ridiculous.
No, didn't he just move in?
No, they're all moving in together post-college. Yeah. They all have girlfriends from college, the whole thing. So
I feel like this is what's he asking? He's just asking, like, what's the red flag? I
don't know what he's asking, to be honest, because with you. I don't like that he's asking.
I think it's kind of an awesome situation. Maybe I'm wrong.
It won't be as fun as college, if that's the thing. That's the one thing. It won't be as fun as college, even though your college buddies. Just won't.
It won't, because
I don't know. Like, those first years after college are like, they can be awesome,
but if all of them have a girlfriend, it's not. It's gonna be different.
The vibes
they're all gonna have jobs, right? They're going to be,
Yeah.
he's going to be swimming in options.
Well, I do think that is true. Like, you are going to be, hopefully they still, they're also at this phase where they still want to go out a lot. And like, you're not just
They
like
will.
the one solo guy. Yeah. So that I think,
SEC kids.
so like, you're naturally going to meet other girls that they're friends with. Like, this is a great situation. And
Ubers to the only place open at 4 a.m. with Zins.
Whoa.
These guys have been doing it all the
I don't know if
time.
that's approved. Well, that might not happen though with the girlfriends around too much though. You know,
Oh,
like,
give me a break. 22. You guys are acting like these guys are like 30 with one
No, I'm not.
ring.
But I'm going to say post-college girlfriends don't necessarily love coming back and finding their boyfriend drunk on a Wednesday at 7 p.m.
No personal experience there. Yeah.
I can just tell you. I mean, it sounds like they're fresh out of
right
college.
after college.
I'm just
and
saying.
You still had credits. You still had credits to go, Kyle. So it's not like that was even fair to judge you as a post-college Kyle.
I'm just saying. I think girls develop faster than dudes, right? That way they mature faster than dudes. So one of these girlfriends is going to be at that point where she's like, "All right, let's grow up," and you're like,
"That's fine." No,
that's not his problem.
Because then there's 3 others that are still probably in the mix, and as you said, one of them, someone's going to break up. Like they're not all.
I think you're incredibly lucky.
Married.
I'm not saying
definitely
this
breaking
is bad.
up.
I think this dude's incredibly lucky that he found 4 dudes post college that want to keep the party going.
Yeah, but honestly, let's look at the bright side. You got 4 friends. Like we've had some emails that are much bleaker than that. So congrats to you.
Guys are getting left out of golf trips, fucking quitting the text thread. You're in good shape, brother.
Yeah.
You already know where you want to move. There you go. It's not as cold as Chicago. So you feel good about a lot of this stuff. I just don't. The only concern I have is you're actually thinking about it this much. That would be the quickest.
Oh, I would have these thoughts. It's just like, I'm the one dude that like that. Couples like to hang out with couples as well. That's another truth that you find out.
Not at 22 though. Not at 22. It's not.
And it's so many couples. It's 4 couples. Like they're not. It's not like they're going to go do like an octo date, and you're just going to be like the 9th man out. Like you're fine.
And by the way, you should want to be out on that.
Yeah, you should totally want to be out.
That's true.
There's going to be nights that you're going to be invited, but if they start pretending the whole thing's like a semi-formal every fucking Friday and Saturday just because they're together, and then it's like, oh well, he can't come because he doesn't have anybody in his life right now. Like there's going to be nights you're going to be like, I recruited 2 5-stars and I got them to flip, and like it was the best. And it doesn't matter, and I don't care. And what's up with that girl Sarah from your work in HR?
Yeah,
right. So don't worry about it. You're
I love
fine.
this spot.
You're fine.
Yeah.
All right. It's good. Good spot. Good spot for both guys. Actually, a lot of positive stuff today. All right. Thanks to Kyle. Thanks to Steve. The Ryen Russillo podcast on YouTube and Ringer Spotify.